Hey, this one's gonna break the it's gonna break the listening of the MP3 file a little bit. But I have a question that I'm generally curious to see what the live users are thinking right now.
Ask away.
Live users, live listeners, and listeners in general. I'm curious. Do files on your computer display their extension type?
Oh.
Do you have...
Mine do.
Of course yours do. Do you have .txt at the end of your text files? And do you have, .zip at the end of your zip files?
I'm seeing an overwhelming yes.
Okay.
Overwhelming.
Because you still have to go in and do that manually. Right?
Really?
Yeah. When you do Windows installations, it hides associations with known file types, extensions for known file types, and you have to go in and turn those on. So, I'm curious to know how many, are we at an age where, people have used their first computer that just didn't have those extensions on, and they just got used to that. Because that's that's a whole other thing that's going to be happening at some point, right? If they're interested in hiding file types from people, and then there's definitely going to be enough people that are like, well, I never turned it on. You have to dig for that. You have to go into your folder options and turn that option on specifically. It seems insane to not have it.
People
personally
are saying that Windows 10 might have it on by default.
Let's
check it out.
I've installed Windows 10 Home. I've installed Windows 10 Pro. And in both Pro and Home, it was off by default. It was hidden by default, rather.
It does not.
Yeah, it's a weird one, right? It's a weird one. They definitely want you to not see those file types.
Yeah, it is totally not. On by default. Yeah, weird. I don't ever remember doing that. I guess I must have done that day one of installing Windows 10, because I was gonna go make something and I wanted to turn a JPEG into whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you're doing any form of editing work or rendering work or if you have anything from Adobe installed on your system, you're gonna need your extensions. You're gonna need it seems ridiculous to use it on just that level where you're like, this is my document and this is my video and that's my song and that's it,
I've just been hit with a wave of, Patrick, the computer's running so much slower. Did you install another one of your games on there? And I'm like, Dad,
my Bonzi buddy told me that the computer is running slower.
My buddy is right there, and it is it is strangling the computer.
Hey, you don't talk shit about the Bonzi buddy.
I can't get over it. I know I've told that story before. I know I've told it 10 times, but it's just it was so outrageous.
He's
so
useful.
mad. I'm still mad about it years
He
later.
is helpful. Don't you talk shit. The Bonzi buddy is helpful. He would never lie to me. Oh my God, man, that era, the era of fascination with transparency on your desktop, where a little paperclip or a little purple gorilla or any other thing could be, could just sit there and fucking suck the life out of your system. The same era.
My dad also did this thing where we had our consoles hooked up through a VCR into the TV, which was a slightly more complex setup.
Yeah.
And he would actively dissuade us from learning how to do it, because if we knew how to do it, we would figure out that, in fact, there is no difference between putting it in our TV and the big TV in the living room, and there is, in fact, no danger to that TV at all.
Right.
Because it became, you can't use these games on that big TV, you'll break it.
Mm-hmm. Man,
it's like,
God, what I wouldn't do for a fucking Snopes back then, just it was such an impossible to crush rumor that parents would share that must have come off of TV. It must have come off of a dumb TV report one day, or a weird fucking episode of Ricky Lake or something. Because, like, it was so omnipresent. You couldn't get around it. Everyone's parents believed in that, you know?
Either that or they didn't want the kids using their big TV.
Okay, I got a question for you. Did you get into that space and that time of internet cursor customization?
Yes.
Where you put a little Mega Man for your cursor and he's running when it's loading and he stands still when you're not doing anything, and when he's doing a big load he's jumping. Did you get into that era of turning your fucking desktop cursor at all times into the StarCraft cursor?
I got into that twice.
Come on.
What?
Talk to me.
So one was in 97, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it continued into the StarCraft era, and at which point my dad was like, fucking stop that. And I was like, okay. And then I got into it again when it looked like everyone was going to have to jump to Windows 8.
Okay.
And I started to look into the mechanics of customizing the desktop to kill the Metro view.
Oh, that's
And
late. You're talking late in the game.
I became so frustrated with that process that I said to myself, I'm just going to hold off for as long as humanly possible, because this shit is actually a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, dude. Okay, that by the era of Metro, that's way late in the game. That's like the last 10 years.
That was a response to a problem.
No, I'm talking late 90s, early aughts, right? Here's what we were doing. Not even early aughts, to be honest. It was really late 90s specifically. We were getting those cursors out, video game cursors, replacing your main ones. You know, we were getting in some cases the sprites from games were just terrible because you couldn't tell where the fucking top was. Because again, the Mega Man cursor, it was just a little dot that was like, this is your actual click point, you know? But fuck it. You're changing your desktop icons to be matching so that if Mega Man is the cursor, then all the folders on your desktop are all the Robot Masters.
That sucks.
Okay? We're going in, right? And then you're seeing other people that are customizing hard where they're going to that level. And I did this once and I didn't like it, but there's a level where you're customizing your folders, you're customizing your cursor, right? And here's what you got to do. You got to have a custom desktop to match all of those things.
Of course you do.
But that desktop wallpaper needs to have a dedicated space for where fucking Winamp minimized Winamp as a small little bar needs to be in a set space. And like the edge of that corner has graphics flaying out of it that integrate into the skin and make it look like it's a part of the desktop. So you gotta have your Winamp.
This is too far.
You gotta have your Winamp corner, and the desktop and your Winamp are like synergetic. You know what I mean? People fucking going in with their Winamp skins, and when your Winamp skin would work with your desktop skin, you were ballin'.
Fuck, I miss Winamp, which is stupid because like I could just go get it. It still fucking works.
People,
but like,
dude, it kicks the llama's ass, man. People
it
would
really whips the llama's ass.
And it was baby's first minimalism.
Do you remember getting Winamp version 3 and just being like, ugh,
fuck this,
and just going right back to 2?
Fuck this, new shit. We go back.
So awful.
We want the small little bar of text. We want it to scroll and look kind of cool, and then we want, because like at the time, like all the power setups, the power user setups were all like God, what do you even call it? It's like a sci-fi kind of HUD feeling where it's like, oh, yo, my desktop is actually a web page that's displaying my cooling, my right. It's displaying like my CPU usage, and it has a little Google search bar at the bottom.
That's crazy.
And I remember being like, how'd you get that Google search bar on your desktop? What the fuck? And it's like, yeah, the active desktop, exactly, right? And like there was this whole like fucking just era of we are getting next level desktop tech, but we're still using Winamp, and like you gotta have your desktop look almost like a car dashboard. Was a lot of them where you'd have all these dials and accelerometers and shit like that. It was a whole to do. But I want to say minimized Winamp in the corner was like baby's first minimalism. You got to learn that you don't need this giant screen with a play button, fast forward, and all that shit. All you need is the scrolling text of the song, and then your like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interact buttons.
I feel like Winamp was the preview of most of our lives to come, because it was a program that you loved using, and then it updated, and you were excited because all the updates were like more stable or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just desperately wanted to slam that button that says "fuck, go back."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I felt that feeling, which was then followed up by the dig.com redesign. Front page redesign.
Okay, the dig redesign. Yeah.
Which was then followed by Newgrounds' 2 redesigns, which was followed by every single redesign YouTube ever did.
My number one worst of all time is still untouched. To me, the number one worst of all time is the slow progression of whatever the fuck Windows Media Player is now.
Oh man, Windows Media Player Classic is so good that it's still
it's like, insane.
It's still the fucking media player of choice for your animes.
There's nothing VLC. Dude, there's nothing on the level of this, because like Windows Media Player and every shittier version as time went on, like for every redesign you just described, at the end of the day it would be awful, and in many cases you'd just use it, minus like Winamp where you'd go back or whatever, right? Windows Media Player, you just stop using it.
It loads up and it's like trying to scan my library, and it's like
die.
Got a playlist.
Just die.
And I'm like, stop. Just stop.
Go die forever. It's crazy because you pop it up. Yeah, when you get your first, anytime you get a new computer now, and you make the mistake of trying to open any kind of audio visual file, and then it opens up with a bunch of options, and it starts scanning, and it starts asking you if you want to connect and do a bunch of shit, and it's trying to find U2 album covers, and you're just like, fucking go away forever. It's the absolute worst player, and it's like you're not even worth like going through all that shit to then get it just like to a very quiet basic version of itself, right? Like iTunes, for example, I got to use it as part of the publishing process, but it's so hefty in a lot of ways that I really don't like, and you have to click through a lot of shit when you're just like, ugh, okay, like there's a bare bones minimum version of this that like I have to use here, but fuck, I hate all the rest of this. Windows Media Player, you just don't even want to look at it as soon as it opens. Immediately disassociate all files with that and get your favorite player of choice and use that instead. A lot of people out there have feelings about what players to use. People, VLC is awful, VLC is great. Windows Media Classic is awful. Windows Media Classic is great.
VLC and MPC at whim.
Whatever the fuck you use, get away from Windows Media Player. Yeah.
I even remember it going from 8 to 9 and being like, oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. And then it went from 9 to 10. I was like, oh, no. And then everything past that was just a trash fire.
I want to say, like, I remember the last time it was discussed. At the very least, it was like VLC is handy for a lot of people because it has built-in codecs and it just works. You just click the thing.
It just works 99% of the time.
It's done and done, right? I mean, it you know, and in many cases, like WebAMs don't work on iOS, but VLC allows them to play, for example. So like there's shit like that where I'm like, that's fucking impressive. But I just remember that there was a not insignificant number of people that they came out when I think last time it was talked about on the Friendcast, it was like talked about for watching anime. And there's a lot of people that say it ruins anime and it makes it worse and it plays it badly and fuck VLC. And I never quite looked into it, so I didn't go to find out what the problems were there. But some people were very anti VLC.
But I like VLC.
Yeah, I do too.
But I like it. How could they not like it? I like it.